If you haven't played Destiny 2 in a long time but are coming back for the final shape and have no idea what's going on in the story, I got you. If you want an incredibly detailed and informative story recap, be sure to check out Bife's multi-hour video. However, if you want the short version of the entire story in a nutshell, here we go. Your long-dead character's body is found and revived by a ghost using the power of the Traveler's Light. The Traveler is a powerful entity that roams the universe, occasionally settling down for a while and blessing civilizations with knowledge and unique powers in the form of the light. Ghosts are little buddy extensions of the Traveler, whose jobs are to revive worthy light wielders and act as their fun little travel companions forever as they hopefully do good things with their new powers. Light wielders are referred to as guardians, and you're the newest one on the block. You and your ghost head to the tower, center of the last city on Earth, and meet a dude really in touch with the Traveler known as the Speaker. He tells us that the darkness, a totally not vague description, is returning in our solar system and pursuing the Traveler, so we run back into the wild and learn two things. Thing 1, the Hive exist. They're an arthropod-like alien race from very far away. Apparently they don't like us or the light, and they're making themselves at home on the moon, readying an invasion. Thing 2, Rasputin exists, a very old and powerful military-focused AI also known as a Warmind. It was built years ago, before the great collapse of humanity, and it's contacting the cosmos for reasons we're not really sure about. We fly over to the moon in order to solve that Hive problem. While there, we get a message from a mysterious stranger saying we need to meet them on Venus to stop a different threat. So we head to Venus and meet the Vex, an ancient race of robot-like creatures hell-bent on converting planets and other celestial bodies into machine worlds. We're told they can only be stopped by destroying their heart in a place called the Black Garden, which apparently is kind of tricky to get to. We meet with Mara Sov, Queen of the Awoken, a race of people that look like bluish-purple cosmic humanoids. They're actually descended from humans, but you gotta dig to find that lore, and that's not important right now. The Queen, along with her edgy Hot Topic brother Prince Aldrin, who clearly doesn't like us, mentions that the only way into the garden is with a Gate Lord's Eye, which we promptly go and get, and head to find the entrance of the garden, which is on Mars. Also on Mars, tons of Cabal, a race of big, tough, hippo, turtle-like people who are obsessed with military strength and war in general. We handle the Cabal, find the Black Garden, destroy the heart, and learn that if we actually want to stop the Vex for real, we gotta kill a big Vex named Atheon in the Vault of Glass, Destiny's first raid. We kill Atheon. Then a traumatized guardian named Eris Morn shows up at the tower. She's kinda like that one friend you have who's really into poetry, dark attire, and Wiccan shit. She tells us that her fire team got clapped by a big bad Hive named Crota, who is so big and so bad, in fact, that the rest of the Hive all worship him as some kind of god. We head to the moon to stop the Hive's awakening ritual, but have to step into Crota's throne world to murder him once and for all. What's a throne world? Oh, you know, that thing where really powerful Hive can create their own little pocket universe where their soul and true form reside and where they're incredibly powerful. So we jump into Crota's throne world and murder his ass on his own turf, putting him down for good. With that chump out of the way, the Guardians can finally focus their attention on smaller scale matters, like the civil war going on between Mara Sov and Skolas, Kel of Kells. Skolas is a Fallen. They're a race of four-armed nomadic aliens. The Traveler actually favored them a long time ago before showing up on Earth, and a lot of Fallen are kinda really bitter about the Traveler leaving. We team up with Petravenge, a smoke show awoken warrior who's way too bad for you, and who serves Queen Mara, and Varix, a Fallen Vandal who's cool and hangs out with the Awoken. We stop Skolas from getting his hands on Vex technology and throw him in the Prison of Elders, aka Space Guantanamo. Hey, remember Crota, that Hive god we killed in his own throne world? Turns out he's Hive royalty, and his dad is really mad that we murdered his son. You might have heard of him actually. He's locally known as
Oryx the Taken King.
He's now launching an all-out invasion on our solar system with his army of Taken. You know, that thing where you completely dominate the mind and body of whoever you want and force them to do your dark bidding? Real neat trick. He learned it from a big worm. During the invasion, Mara Sov tries to fight off Oryx and kinda sorta dies maybe. Who's to say? With the help of Hunter Vanguard Cade 6, we use a cloaking ship to sneak onto Oryx's gigantic dreadnought. After much Hive battling, the Guardians finally manage to roll into Oryx's throne world for the dopest boss reveal in the franchise, and we kill Oryx on his own turf at max power. Like father, like son. Meanwhile, back on Earth, the Fallen managed to dig up some creepy old nanotechnology called Siva, those rascals. Acting like a techno-plague, Siva mutates the Fallen in the House of Devils, allowing them to create machine gods. To deal with that, we get help from Lord Saladin, one of the original Iron Lords. What's an Iron Lord? Oh, you know, an OG Guardian before the last city in the Tower and the Vanguard were all a thing, out there helping folks in the wild with nothing but their light. Together with Lord Saladin, we create a new generation of Iron Lords and shut down the Siva outbreak once and for all. Hey, look at what we have here, a Cabal warlord named Dominus Gaul, who's launching an invasion on the Tower, the Traveler, and all of humanity. You see, for years, the Cabal have been ruled by the incredibly extravagant Emperor Callus, but Dominus Gaul staged a coup, taking over the whole operation and exiling Emperor Callus aboard the Leviathan, a gargantuan Cabal vessel. But more on the party king Callus later. Meanwhile, new head honcho for the Cabal, Dominus Gaul, feels that the Traveler made a big mistake by picking humanity to get all the benefits of the light. Therefore, he and his Red Legion are gonna take it by force. They invade the Tower, strap up the Traveler in high-tech bondage, and we, the Guardians, lose our connection to the light, which really sucks. The Guardians take a hard beating and flee the city, and the Speaker, who we definitely didn't all forget about, ends up dying while Gaul jacks the light for himself. We regather our forces on a farm, and with the Vanguard assembled and the game plan laid out, we storm the Tower and kick both the Legion and Gaul's ass, reclaiming the light and freeing the Traveler. We also head over to check out the Leviathan and hunt down Emperor Callus, but only find robot copies of him instead. Anyway, the Guardians take a trip over to Mercury, where we meet Brother Vance and the ghost of an MIA Guardian named Osiris. Osiris is a legendarily powerful warlock, but he's trapped in the Infinite Forest, a machine world that the Vex created with the goal of simulating infinite possibilities and alternate realities so they can try and predict the future better and act accordingly based on the simulations. After throwing down with the Vex, we manage to get Osiris's old tired ass out of the virtual forest. Soon after, we get word from Anna Bray, a fellow Guardian, that she's found Rasputin's Warmind core along with an ancient hive army bent on destroying it in the name of Zol. Who's Zol? Oh, you know, a giant worm god, partially responsible for giving Oryx and his sisters their darkness powers and insatiable appetite for causing trouble. Wait, Oryx has sisters? Oh yeah, didn't you hear? Xivu Arath, god of war, and Savathun, god of cunning and lies. Man, what a family. More on them later. Along the way, we help Anna learn more about her past before murdering Zol, saving the Warmind Rasputin, and allowing us to finally kick back and relax. Oh, fuck, no time for that. There's a goddamn prison break going down at Space Jail. The prison of elders has been turned upside down, and the inmates are playing a fun game called Kill Everyone and Escape. We roll in with Hunter Vanguard leader Cade 6 to try and control the chaos. Unfortunately, we get separated, and Cade's ghost gets sniped by a paracausal bullet, killing her instantly. Cade doesn't go down without a fight, but is ultimately killed by Marasov's edgy D-bag brother Prince Uldren, who, surprise, surprise, orchestrated the prison break. Turns out Uldren has gone quite mad while trying to find his sister, Queen Mara, who, even though we haven't seen or heard from since the Battle of Oryx, Uldren believes is still alive. Because the prince is a few beers short of a six-pack, Petra, who is still too bad for you by the way, threw him in the prison of elders while trying to figure out what to do with him. During and after the prison break and the death of Cade, we learn Uldren has been following the voice of who he thinks is his sister Mara. Turns out it's actually Riven, the last Ahamkara, who has been tricking Uldren this whole time. What's an Ahamkara? Oh, you know, ancient giant space dragons capable of granting wishes, but not cool Disney Aladdin wishes. More like effed up monkey's paw, ha, I tricked you type wishes. Riven tricked Uldren into unsealing the Dreaming City, where she's been living all this time as a prisoner. Yeah, turns out the Awoken weren't cool with all-powerful wish-granting murder dragons roaming out free in the wild, hence the Dreaming City and detainment of Riven, the last Ahamkara. Also, turns out that before we killed Oryx the Taken King, he met up with Riven in the Dreaming City and took her, which was the end result of the two all-powerful beings try to out-clever one another. The Guardians do battle with and manage to kill Riven, and along with Petra, catch up with and put down Uldren for his crimes. Man, glad that's over with and we never have to see or think about that damned Uldren ever again. Oh, shit. Yeah, turns out a ghost named Pulled Pork, who has yet to revive their very own guardian, found Uldren's body, which had been laid to rest in the Dreaming City, and revived him as a light-wielding guardian now known as Crow. Fun fact, when Guardians are born in the light, they have no memories of their past life at all, meaning Crow has no idea that he used to be Uldren and spends a lot of his time being alone and confused in the wilderness, wondering why people he's never met before hate his guts or attack him on sight. Meanwhile, the Guardians are off making new friends, including an exo gunsmith named Ada 1. She doesn't like us very much, but after helping her take out some contraband and saving her precious black armory paper, she comes around. Don't forget about the funny guy in the tower basement, the Drifter. He's a Guardian Guardian too, but he doesn't really care about defending the last city. He kinda does his own thing, looks out for number 1, and runs a weird little Guardian competition / game called Gambit that surely will have dev support and a strong player base for years to come. Around this time, a few things happen. The Leviathan is back, and extravagant Emperor Callus, who has a very weird interest in the Guardians, challenges us to kill the corrupted child he's been keeping locked up in the basement. That goes about as well as you'd expect. Also, a weird Darkness Pyramid ship has landed on the moon, and enemies we've defeated a while ago are popping back up like living nightmares, and the Black Garden is somehow back. We unlock the secrets of the pyramid, journey into the Black Garden, and kill the Vex we find inside. Vex dealt with, we go off to help Osiris blast through time to rescue his boyfriend, fellow Guardian, and legendary Titan, Saint 14. We get him back and celebrate by inviting him to live in the tower with his pet pigeons and putting him in charge of running the Trials of Saint 14 game type. Around a year later, we find ourselves on Europa, one of the moons of Jupiter, where our ghost detects a distress signal from Varix. After rescuing him, we uncover a plot from Aramis, Kel of Kells. You know how the light is a powerful force wielded by the Guardians? Yeah, turns out Aramis has somehow found a way to wield the darkness and really wants to take revenge on the Traveler and all of humanity. As mentioned earlier, some Fallen hold a big grudge against the Traveler for ditching their people for humanity. Aramis would be one of those Fallen. Oddly, we figure out a way to wield the darkness power ourselves, unlocking our first dark subclass option, Stasis. While doing so, we defeat Aramis, who becomes frozen in stasis herself. Then we do a little family therapy for Anna Bray and Elsie Bray, aka the mysterious stranger from way long ago. They're sisters if you didn't know, and they have some major dad issues, but you would too if your dad was Clovis Bray, god-tier scientist and full-time lunatic who essentially created the Exos back in the day via his massive corporation. Yeah, turns out he's still around even after the collapse because he preserved his consciousness into a giant AI, all completely normal behavior, of course. Elsie Bray informs us that some Fallen are trying to break into the Deepstone Crypt, a giant facility where the first Exos were made, because they want to get their hands on high-level tech and recover the preserved AI of Clovis Bray. Thankfully, the Guardians put a stop to all that. Hey, remember Crow, who's now a Guardian and has no memory of his past life? He's been doing odd jobs for a shady, out-for-himself businessman, aka criminal, Fallen named Spire. And by odd jobs, I mean Spire was basically holding him against his will. But we, the Guardian, help out Spire with his shady business and are given the reward of whatever we want in Spider's loot room, so we wish for Crow's freedom. We hook Crow up with a sweet gig at the helm doing odd jobs for the Vanguard. Probably not a good idea at the moment for him to live at the tower just yet, as many Guardians feel a certain way about who Crow used to be. But new Crow just wants to help and does his Vanguard work from the helm while standing off in the corner like a middle schooler with identity issues. Anyway, meet Keitel. She's the daughter of Emperor Callus, and after the Guardians clapped Dominus Gaul and the Red Legion, Keitel is now Empress Keitel, leader of the Cabal. Turns out the Cabal homeworld has gotten completely demolished by the Hive, led by one of Oryx's two crazy sisters, Xivu Arath, the god of war, and Keitel wants revenge with our help. Trade offer: Keitel receives us kneeling and swearing our allegiance to serve her in the Cabal, and we receive the honor of serving Keitel as we wipe out the Hive for her and her people. Commander Zavala doesn't take kindly to being told to kneel though, and discussions on this matter are tense. The Vanguard decide to get tricky and use old Cabal tradition against them by challenging Keitel's war council to a rite of proving. Kind of a your best against our best type of showdown. Big shocker, we win, and some Cabal aren't happy about that and try to assassinate Zavala during final negotiations. Zavala is saved by Crow, and Keitel punishes the assassins, recognizing that the Guardians are badass and won the challenge fair and square. And just like that, we now have a fun Cabal ally in Keitel. Also, Zavala seems to be making peace with the fact that Crow is clearly a different dude than who Uldren was. Yay, character development. One day, the last city finds itself shrouded in never-ending darkness. The Guardians team up with Mithrax, badass Fallen whose main priority is protecting his people, and he shares his Vex-related knowledge, as they're clearly the ones behind these endless night shenanigans. While we fight to stop the Vex, Warlock Vanguard Ikora Ray offers Mithrax's fallen homies sanctuary in the tower. Saint 14 is not cool with that idea, as he spent years fighting the Fallen out in the field. After talking to Mithrax though, Saint learns that to the Fallen, he himself is somewhat of a monster and boogeyman, an eternal tormentor and killer of innocent Fallen. With a newfound understanding, Saint becomes more cool of the Fallen seeking asylum at the tower. Someone who isn't cool with the Fallen at the tower though is Lakshmi II, local Exo and leader of the future war cult faction at the tower. She begins spreading anti-Fallen propaganda and eventually tries to stage a coup and overthrow the Vanguard, who she feels is making a bad call and letting the Fallen live at the tower. The coup goes horribly. Vex attack the tower, and Lakshmi dies in the attack. It's revealed that Osiris, of all people, may have been involved in the attempted coup, and Ikora Rey is pissed because Osiris is supposed to be cool. Along with Saint 14 and Crow, the Guardian tracks down Osiris in the Dreaming City, where it's revealed that Marasav is actually alive. And wait for it, Osiris has been possessed by Oryx's other sister, Savathun, God of Cunning, for quite a while now. Savathun mentions that she'll unpossess Osiris if Marasav removes her worm. Remember Zol, the worm god? Eons ago, Oryx, Xivu, and Savathun were young and craved power, and Zol gave it to them in the form of worms. Dark parasites that give incredible power but require being fed via endless tribute, and I really do mean endless. Constantly feed the worm and grow in power forever, or literally die. Mara puts Savathun in a cocoon and actually manages to exercise her worm with awoken magic, which is damned impressive. Before we're able to punish Savathun, though, for what she did to Osiris, she escapes. But hey, we got Osiris back. Unfortunately, he's now in a coma. We jump on the hunt and work to track down Savathun. Finding her ship, we get a true what the fuck moment, as the Hive and Savathun herself are somehow capable of wielding the light now. The Guardians are hell-bent on finding out exactly how Savathun stole the light from the Traveler, as that is the only possible way this could have gone down. We follow Savathun to her throne world and learn a few things. There's something out there called the Witness, who apparently tricked not just Savathun but also the Hive eons ago into following the path of the darkness to begin with. They were actually in line to get the benefits of the light. Damn, this Witness guy sucks. Also, Savathun didn't steal the light, apparently. After her Osiris switcheroo escape, she died at the foot of the Traveler, and a ghost just gave it to her, the same as us. The Vanguard are baffled by this and have a hard time coming to grips with that information, but oh well. We battle and kill Savathun and also discover a weird pyramid in her throne world containing Rulk, a disciple of the Witness, whom we promptly kill. While trying to learn more about Light-Bearing Hive, the Vanguard is using Keitel's scions to pry info from their near-dead bodies. Crow is uncool with this and tries to stop it from happening, accidentally killing a scion in the process. That really pisses Keitel off, and she wants Crow to be punished, but Iron Lord Saladin steps in and says he'll take punishment instead. Keitel accepts, and Saladin now serves her and the Cabal as a life debt. Meanwhile, Emperor Callus is back in town and somehow using nightmares to empower himself. Crow, Zavala, and Keitel all take part in a ritual that allows us to harvest nightmares, all while facing their greatest fears. Yay, more character development. That season was actually kind of badass. Turns out Zavala has a lot of deep, sad family baggage. We defeat the visage of Callus and his assembled nightmares before he can make use of them. Being able to briefly go into his mind, we learn that Callus is basically a gigantic Witness simp and wants to become a disciple of the Witness like Rulk. Meanwhile, remember Aramis, former Fallen turned Popsicle? Well, she gets freed from her icy prison by the Witness on the condition that she tracks down ancient relics containing fragments of one of the Witness's disciples, Nezarec. She assembles her old Fallen pirate fleet to hunt down the relics, and we team up with the Drifter, Mithrax, and his fallen daughter, Ido, to stop her. Mithrax has an opportunity to end Aramis's life, but Ido asks him to spare her, which he does. Using the gathered relics, Mithrax distills their dark power down into an infusion that shakes Osiris out of his coma. While possessed by Savathun, Osiris could see into her mind and saw visions of a city on Neptune hiding a big secret. Osiris and Anna Bray decide to try and reactivate Rasputin the Warmind. Osiris wants to use Rasputin to get more info on his visions, and Anna wants to reactivate him as extra defense against Xivu Arath, who's still out there somewhere doing God knows what. We activate Rasputin, only to learn that we'd activated one of Xivu Arath's many trap cards. If anyone used the Warmind's weapons, Xivu Arath, being the god of war, would be able to use that act of war as a form of worship that would empower her worm, allowing her forces to invade Earth the same way she did with the Cabal homeworld. During the commotion, Aramis takes control of an orbital Warmind station and begins a countdown of using Rasputin's weapons on the Traveler. Aramis really knows how to hold a grudge. In response, the Traveler decides it's had enough of all this and it's just gonna straight up leave Earth. But before it does, Rasputin, knowing that if his weapons are activated, Xivu Arath would be powered up and invade Earth, sacrifices himself and prevents the weapons from being fired. Because of this act of sacrifice, bravery, and badassery, the Traveler decides to stay. Lightfall time. The Witness, who we still don't know a ton about, gets a vision of something called the Veil on Neptune and sends Callus to go secure it. We follow Callus and discover Neomuna, a crazy high-tech city, as well as a race of cybernetically enhanced humans who have been defending Neomuna in secret for a really long time. The Veil has a closely linked darkness power called Strand, which the Guardians learn to wield as we pursue Callus. Callus gets to the Veil, but with our newfound Strand power, we whip his ass. However, in our moment of triumph, the Witness links with the Veil using our Ghost. Doing so allows the Witness to make a pathway for it to literally enter the Traveler, where it plans to combine its powers of darkness with the power of the light from the Traveler and begin what it calls the final shape of the universe. That isn't good, but first we have to deal with Nezarec, one of the Witness's disciples who has been reborn on the Witness's pyramid ship. We find him and promptly kill him. Every attempt to follow the Witness into the Traveler results in failure, and the Vanguard are panicking about what to do. Responding to a distress signal on Titan, we reconnect with an old Guardian named Sloane and her friend, an ancient proto-worm god whale who, believe it or not, has been around so long it knows what the Witness is. It shares a vision. Eons ago, a race of people were originally blessed by the Traveler but craved a greater purpose. They grew in knowledge and power and realized that while powerful, the Traveler could bring ruin just as easily as it could prosperity, and therefore decided the Traveler was a form of chaos. Then they learned of and studied the darkness and found the Veil and brought it home to merge it with the Traveler. The Traveler did not like that one bit and pieced the hell out of there. The remains of the civilization, with their newfound understanding of the darkness, merged their entire species together into one powerful being, the Witness, whose sole mission is to use both the light and the darkness to carve away the chaos of existence by literally calcifying everything in the universe and creating what it calls the final shape. Yup, makes total sense. We also learned that the key to stopping the Witness lies with Savathun. Great. We talked to Savathun's ghost, Imaru, who tells us Savathun left a plan behind that we were to follow if we ever wanted to revive her. It involves challenging her sister, Xivu Arath. No easy feat. Our old friend Eris Morn performs a ritual to turn herself into a hive god of vengeance, and we make her stronger via offerings of violence. Eris is strong, but not quite strong enough, so we revive Savathun just so Eris can literally kill her and get a huge power boost. Eris uses all of her new power all at once to banish Xivu Arath from her own throne world, cutting her off from immortality. We revive Savathun again, for real this time, and now that we held up our end of the bargain, Savathun holds up hers in the form of a hidden Ahamkara egg. So we communicate with Riven. Yeah, did you know that even though Ahamkara can die, you can still communicate with them beyond death? All-powerful, wish-granting death dragons are not to be underestimated. We tell Riven we want to make an Ahamkara wish to be able to travel into the pale heart of the Traveler so we can follow and stop the Witness. Riven refuses to grant our wish. She's mad that, we killed her and all of that. But we work out a deal because there are more of her eggs laying around and Riven really wants us to save them. Otherwise, her kind will for sure go extinct. So we save the Ahamkara eggs and Riven agrees to give us our wish. But only one Guardian can make the journey, and we settle on Crow because he shares a connection with his sister Mara Sov, meaning once he's inside the Traveler, Mara could then trace a pathway directly to him using awoken magic, allowing us, in theory, to be able to follow him into the Traveler. Riven grants the wish, and Crow heads directly into the pale heart of the Traveler. Oddly, when he gets there, he is met by Cade, which is incredibly bizarre because he's supposed to be dead. And that's where we are now. Watch Bife's video for better, more thorough information. See ya in the final shape.